Welcome to the downtown studios of Cranford, New Jersey. You are here at the Commissioner's Cove. Alongside me is my man, my Ace Boku 13th Legion, and I am the Commissioner. Ricky let me down. When we come together, we bring our fantasy information, fantasy insight, so you guys don't have to. So do me a favor. You guys sit back, relax, drink your little cafecito, smoke your little cigar, drink your little bourbon or your whiskey while you listen to two distinguished gentlemen talk about fantasy football, which we enjoy to do. Welcome down to the Cove today on Wednesday. We're going to be recording this. We have a game coming up on Thursday, and we'll talk about the starting systems for this week number 3. The season's going by really, really fast. I can't believe how fast it's going. We all know, beginning of the year, we can't wait till it gets here. All of a sudden, you blink, and it's gone.
Yeah. You said it earlier. That was a long off season. It felt like a long off season, and before you know it, now look, we're in third week already.
Third week. That being said, week number 3. A lot of you guys out there, your records. I guess Bill Parcells said it the best. You are what your record says you are. Okay. However, is it time to panic? 0-2 record. Is it time to panic, Cole?
No.
You don't think so? A lot of guys out there. I don't think it's time to panic yet with the 0-2 record, guys. I really don't. Listen, I'm 0-2 in one of my leagues. All the leagues, believe it or not. But you know what? I'll fight to the end. I'll look to make trades. That's what I suggest you guys could do.
Trades and waiver wire. Let's go.
That's right. Trades and the waiver wire. Little subtle trades. Don't get too crazy. Don't start selling off your team because you know what? You can go on a run. Just be patient. Don't panic. Make those little trades that you need to make because a lot of guys are going to be calling you guys and they're going to try to get your best players
on the cheap.
And don't be that owner that just starts selling and not knowing what you're doing. That being said, all right, we're going to start off week number 3. Talking
about disappointments.
Yeah. Let's talk about week number 3's games. All right. Game number 1 we have on the docket here is my Miami Dolphins against Buffalo in Buffalo. All right. So it's not going to look good for Miami. I think the Bills are going to blow the Dolphins out. They always do for the most part. I mean, we used to play them tough. I just don't think we have the firepower whatsoever to blow them out at all. That's just me, but that's not what this is all about. It's about fantasy football. So you have 68 degrees on Thursday night. Slight chance of rain, 4-mile-per-hour winds from the southwest. All right, please check your weather. So we talk about it every week. And let's talk about, you want to talk about the Buffalo? I'll talk about Miami.
Yeah, obviously we're starting Josh Allen, and James Cook, and I think you're starting Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
Temper a little bit with Keon Coleman. I don't think they're going to have to pass the ball a lot to beat Miami this week.
No.
Miami's look kind of listless, and I don't think it's going to be a quick game because they're going to run the ball a lot.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think Buffalo's going to be up a lot, and you know what? I think they might even take out Josh Allen maybe in the fourth quarter if they're up a lot. You want to mark that down? I think they pull him out of the game. I really do. All right, let's talk about.
To all you fantasy owners who own Josh Allen, I'm pretty sure you want him to get at least 25 points before they take him out.
I think they're going to run the ball. Miami's defense is putrid. It is. They always get by the first line of defense, and it's always the second line, and that's where James Cook eats a lot. The second line of defense, and I think he eats a lot. I think James Cook is the smash start over here, week number 1 for this game. Let's talk about Miami. I'm saying you're going to sit Tua. You're going to definitely sit Tua. Achane, I think Achane is probably the only one to start. Do not start any tight ends from Miami whatsoever.
Do they have any tight ends?
Yeah, don't even bother. Don't even stream the tight ends. Tyreek is getting frustrated out there. They might be playing from behind. If you don't have anyone else with Tyreek, obviously you're going to start him. But if you have someone else, I suggest you might want to start someone else in that offense.
Well, listen, I will say this. You're talking about bold predictions right here. Mm-hmm. If you guys lose ugly and Tyreek goes on one of his rants because of it, McDaniel's getting fired after this week.
Fair point. Write that down. Jalen Waddle is nursing an injury. So you know what? Even with that little injury that he has, I'm suggesting you sit Jalen Waddle. Okay, that's what I have for Miami. Now, defensive teams, you start Buffalo's defensive teams. If you have a defensive unit out there in your fantasy squad, if you didn't pick them up on the waiver wire, some people do waiver wires on tonight or whatever it may be. Buffalo's a smash start against Miami.
I think we've spoken enough about this game.
All right, let's move on. Next game on the docket is the Packers at the Cleveland Browns. All right, slight chance of thunderstorms, 71 degrees. Okay, in Cleveland, 8-mile-per-hour winds out of the southwest. Okay.
Last week we were saying when we specifically were talking about the Lions, and we said, was the Green Bay defense as good as we saw, or was Detroit's offense as bad as we saw? And I think after last week, I think we've come to the realization that Green Bay's defense is as good as advertised, because when we get to the Detroit game later on, they came back to life and they're fantasy relevant again. So in this game, Green Bay against Cleveland is going to be a very tough sledding for Cleveland.
It is. But Cleveland's defense is no slouch either. Okay, so Cleveland's defense is absolutely no slouch. Let's talk about the Packers, who we are starting here. Now, Myles Garrett out there has been getting a lot of sacks. Okay, he's going to put some pressure on Jordan Love. Reed is out, all right, with the collarbone injury. He's gone. So the guys to look for to start with the Green Bay Packers is they're going to feature Kraft, obviously, the tight end. I'm saying you're sitting golden again, okay, until he proves me. He's like on a prove me contract with fantasy. Prove it to me. Prove it to me more than 2 weeks in a row. Because it seems as though if you're not in a dynasty league and you drafted Golden High, he's not paying good money on what the money you spent on him on draft day. All right, maybe the only two, Josh Jacobs. You know what? Josh Jacobs, you're starting, but again, Cleveland is not no slouch defense. You are starting him. If you're expecting 30 points from Josh Jacobs, I don't know if he's going to get you 30 points. 25, I don't know if he gets you 25. You know, I'm saying maybe 18 points, maybe, because you got to hope for a touchdown. Again, Cleveland's defense is tough. Jordan Love, again, maybe temper expectations. I have to start Jordan Love this week, and I'm praying he gives me a lot of points, but I'm not expecting a lot. But it is what it is. Want to talk about Cleveland?
Yeah, I think, going back to Packers defense, you're talking about they have speedy, downhill type and athletic linebackers in Quay Walker and Edrin Cooper, second-year player. Mm-hmm. And if you watched, just like I did, because I own some stock in Edrin Cooper, but if you watch them, they play Quay pretty much is on the line, but Edrin Cooper plays the running backs. And they might get their touches, but they're not going to go anywhere with it. So because of that, I think what you're going to look for in this game for Cleveland is that you're going to look for Judy and Fannin.
Quick passes,
yeah. Exactly. I don't think the Tillman got lucky with that touchdown in the end zone last week. Yeah. It wasn't going to him. But Judy and Fannin, I think, are your two keys in this game if you're playing any Cleveland players.
What do you talk about? What about the running backs? Quishon Judkins, what do you see him getting?
Green Bay's got a good run defense, and like I said, you're not going to get past the linebackers. You might catch a few balls out of the backfield, but it's gonna be quick, and you're not gonna get many yards. You're not gonna get a lot of yak yards.
Yeah.
If all you have to do is go back and take a look at the first game of the year and see what Jahmyr Gibbs did against them, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs is better than anyone that Cleveland has in the backfield.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm saying stay away from the running backs from the Cleveland Browns if you can. If you can start somebody else.
Oh, and that's the other thing. They're gonna be. They played all three of them last week: Ford, Judkins, and Sampson. Yeah. Which one are you going to get this week?
Well, that's been the theme this year so far. A lot of committees, and it's killing the fantasy stock out there. But that's
a lot of three-man committees.
Yeah, three-man.
All right. I mean, it was bad enough with two, but now you got three.
It's like we're playing with a bunch of Bill Belichicks out here. We don't know who to play, who to start, and just hope that you get something out there. All right. So that's what we have for the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. Next game, Indianapolis at Tennessee. 82 degrees, slight chance of thunderstorm. You got 3 games, slight chance. Now there's 6% chance for the Miami Buffaloes. I think there's not going to rain. 31% over there in with Tennessee. 82 degrees, 3-mile-per-hour winds out of the northeast. Let's talk about Indy. Is Danny Nichols going to make me eat my words?
Yes,
Jesus.
Danny Nichols is already making you eat your words.
Is he going to make so?
At one point before the Monday night games, Russ, two giants, one giant and one ex-giant were leading the league in passing.
I can't believe this. I just can't believe it.
All
I
right.
can't believe it.
Does it continue against a pretty good, plucky defense that Tennessee has?
Until they prove you otherwise, I'm gonna say you got to you got to start Danny Nichols. You have to start him.
I think you started Danny Nichols.
Yeah,
right.
he's a must start. Believe it or not,
Yes, I believe you're right.
Tyler Warren's a must start. Taylor's a must start.
Yeah.
Now the wide receivers we have here, which I think Downs got some play, but the one guy he focused on is Pittman out there
Yeah, but he's a little banged up already.
already.
And until one of them separates themselves from the pack, Tyler Warren is your most consistent pass
That's fair.
catcher.
So temporary expectations with the other two wide receivers, but if you are going to start a wide receiver, you have nobody else. Pittman's the one to start, in my opinion. You want to talk about Tennessee?
Tennessee, interesting.
Yeah.
They haven't clicked yet. They haven't gelled with Cam Ward and the receivers. People were going crazy. Maybe he was a waiver wire darling this week. Ian Manor, but he basically had the same stats he had in week one. He just had a touchdown.
Yeah.
The volume of the passing is not there, and Ridley is still commanding the share of target percentage. The problem is no one's really gelling here. It's going to come, but is Indy the team that it comes against? Maybe.
Maybe. All right. So who do you have? In
I
your
say
opinion?
I say you're going to start Ridley. You're going to start
Pollard.
Pollard.
I think that's it.
And I think that's it. Yes.
Yeah. I say you sit Ridley this week. Okay. And again, Ridley is.
It's been 2 bad weeks.
Yeah.
He's due for one, and I think this is the week that he's going to become due.
Well, so
I don't think it's going to be enough to win the game, but that's not what we're here for.
right. So you're telling me to start. I'm. If you're going to start him, you temper expectations because again, it's 2 weeks in a row. I've always come from the school of thought that if you are the number one, you get number one targets, and they will find you the ball. The coaches will feature you a little bit more to get you open, and that is the coach's job to do that. And they're not doing it for some reason. They're just not doing it right now.
Target percentage is there.
Yeah, but
31%. You can't ask for anything better than that for Ridley.
If that's the case, if you're not getting
Iron Manor's not getting that.
if you're not getting the ball down the field with your A dot with the average depth of targets, then you bring them in a little bit. Six yards per target. Screens, different things. Don't wait for the ball for a drop back for a 7-step drop by Ward, and because what he's doing is he's not reading it. All right, and that's going to take some time.
Well, that's not Ridley's game, and if you do something like that, then you're talking about a guy like DK, Chimere DK,
DK's
being
hurt,
the guy.
but he's a little hurt right now. But yeah.
Someone of that replacement, that guy, that position that Ridley plays is not going to be the screen. I don't think the coaches are going to change midstream so early.
All right.
But we'll see.
We'll see what happens. All right, next game on the docket is going to be Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings. There's a lot of things here. It's a dome. All right, so doesn't matter. The weather's good. Minnesota. Everyone knows J.J. McCarthy is injured, okay, already after week number 2.
With both starting quarterbacks are out.
Both starting quarterbacks are out. It's a battle of the backup quarterbacks. 2 offensive linemen are out for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, 2 of them. All right, what does that mean? Aaron Jones is hurt. That means Jordan Mason gets all the burn. However, with Jordan Mason out there, he's a power back. He's not a finesse back. He's north and south. He's not east and west like Aaron Jones is with a little more speed. I think even being with those 2 offensive linemen out, I think they can at least put, hat to hat on a defensive lineman, okay? A lineman, offensive lineman, defense, and he could get some run out there.
Yeah, we're not talking about a great defense period with Cincinnati.
So I'm going to say you start Jordan Mason here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Now, JJ, Mr. Jefferson, takes a little hit, but you still got to start Jefferson. He still commands, like you say, the lion's share of the targets. What are we doing with Hockenson? Are we trusting him? It's been 2 weeks now.
Well, some of the big name tight ends that people took in the first, that came off, the first 5-6 tight ends that came off aren't really producing.
No, nobody is.
Right. Well, later on we'll talk about Mark Andrews, but yeah, Hawkinson's in that group, and Laporte is mostly disappointing also. You think this is the week that against a weaker defense that it might come up? Carson Wentz is starting for Minnesota. You think he's gonna play close to the vest and not take too many chances downfield?
So I'm going to say yes. This is his game, his coming out party. Now, I'm not saying a lot of points with him, but I am going to say he's going to get you more points than last week because, like you said, Carson Wentz doesn't move around too much. He doesn't move around the pocket. He's a pocket quarterback. And like you always say, your best friends are what? You got the running back and you got the tight ends. I think this is it's a start for Hockenson this week. I do.
Yeah, I'm tending to agree with you. I think that every NFL team wants to control the clock. That's their mantra. They want to do that. But against not that they'd be scared of the offense that the Bengals may throw out there, but they still have Jamar Chase. Browning does have experience in coming, a couple years ago and starting for them for almost the entire year. Mm-hmm. T. Higgins, these are still Chase Brown. These are still weapons. So I think Minnesota's going to want to make sure that they pound the ball, short passes, control the clock, and then work it like that.
I agree.
They're not afraid of the Bengals defense, so they'll just try to use that to their advantage.
Agree. You want to talk about the Bengals? What we got here?
They're going to now strategy-wise, they're going to have to come up with something on defense to stop Minnesota, right? You already know that's what they're probably going to try to do for their game plan.
Yeah.
And you definitely have the weapons. When Burrow went out last week, Browning did admirably. Jamar Chase still had points. He had, I think, over 30 fantasy points or close to it. So it's not like that, once Burrow went out, they disappeared. And T. Higgins had a long bomb also for a touchdown. So they need their defense to step up. But after that, I think that's normal offensive, procedure for them.
All right. I'm saying.
So you're starting Jamar, you're starting Chase Brown.
Higgins, we're starting Higgins.
Yeah, but you might have to temper a little bit.
And you're sitting the tight ends. But it goes back to what I just said with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, if you want to take a shot with Noah Fant or Gesicki, with Jake Browning, do your research. 2023 is when Chase Browning came about, and he made, I think the smash start of the week will be Chase Brown. Okay, he might do a lot of dump-off passes to him this game because Jake Browning doesn't really have the Joe Burrow arm. Okay, but I think this is a guy he looks after. And you know what? He's a sneaky little star. It's going to be Noah Brown if you're really hurting for tight end, which a lot of people are. Okay? Noah Brown wouldn't be a nice little streamer out there.
No fan.
No fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Next game is Steelers at the New England Patriots. 68 degrees, partly cloudy, 6 mile per hour winds out of the southeast in New England. All right, let's talk about New England here. New England, Pittsburgh's no slouch on defense as well. They really aren't. However, Drake May has been looking okay. He hasn't really featured his number one receivers yet at all. He hasn't really peppered.
Well, listen, Stephon Diggs hasn't been prominent. Right. But I think their goal all along was to ease him into it. He's still recovering from the ACL. Booty.
He had one long bomb for a touchdown, but
he's getting targets.
He's getting targets. He's not getting wide receiver one targets, but he's getting some target. He could be a streamer for you.
But what I think mostly about New England is they realize that they have a run game and they need to utilize it.
Well, let's talk about the run game. The one to start here, it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson. It looks like they trust him a little bit more. The savvy veteran, and everyone who drafted Travion Henderson high, I think it's going to have to still wait and see. I think Travion's going to be utilized more later on in the year. Okay, right now it seems though he's still kind of learning the speed of the NFL because he's not giving you great fancy numbers. He's got the talent. You can't tell me he doesn't have the talent. But right now, I'm not trusting starting him. I'm saying sit in Travion Henderson. I'm saying you're starting Drake May. The wide receiver position with the New England Patriots is kind of tough to pick out. You got to pick your poison. If you have the guys, Stephon Diggs, but you have someone else more viable, gets more targets, I'm saying start him, And if you're going to start Stephon Diggs, it's almost like you're going to plug him in there and hope you get something from him. And we've all been there. You guys have been there. I've been there. You've been there. You just hope that he gets something,
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't think as far as New England goes, you're going to be trusting a tight end. They pretty much clamped down on the Jets the first game of the year. I don't think Mason Taylor had one catch that game. If he did, maybe only one. last week, they played Seattle.
Right.
I don't remember catch going to a tight end.
Yeah, they're not utilizing the tight end as much anymore.
I think Pittsburgh's linebacking core is pretty good. I think they're covering the tight ends, and that's why I think that either Booty or Demario Douglas might be your best bets.
Listen, Pop.
I understand that, but you're going with the game flow here.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to establish the run. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to get fed the ball. He's going to have a lot of opportunities, and him and Drake May are probably the only two fancy relevant starters that you probably get a lot of more production.
I think those are the two that you might have the most confidence in. Yes.
Correct. All right, let's talk
Pittsburgh.
about Pittsburgh. All right. Well, listen. Everyone drafted DK Metcalf to be someone like, I don't know, like JSN for some reason, you know? But for some reason, it's like, I don't know. You know, you're going to start him.
I'm going to give you 2 words as to the reason why that will never happen. Mm-hmm. Arthur Smith.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. You drafted a running back in the 3rd round. You don't even play him. I know he made a bonehead play, but he's a rookie. Things are going to happen. They're going to have to learn. You're starting the number 1 running back, which is Jaylen Warren. The word on the street is that Aaron Rodgers wants to get him more passes out the backfield. But this is Aaron Rodgers. He says a lot of things, you know, and you just take it for what it's worth. You do start Warren. Gainwell, you don't start Gainwell. Again, with the tight ends, a lot of people are hurting on tight ends. You have 2 of them over there, Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. The one I'm saying you're starting is Jonnu Smith. That's the one I'm saying. Freiermuth doesn't really get looks anymore. He just, for some reason, like you said, Arthur Smith. And then DK Metcalf.
Well, see, that might change this week because Arthur Smith does that. He changes. He's not consistent. Just when you think he's going to zig, he zags.
All right, that's fair. But, you know, if I'm going to start, which I am going to start, is Jonnu Smith in one of my leagues. Okay, that's who I'm starting. I'm not saying I'm expecting big productivity from him, but he is one if you have nobody else. I just want to reiterate, if you have nobody else. If you do, and he gets more targets, you start the other tight end. Okay, the other one. But if you have no one else, if you got a guy like A.J. Barner or Jonnu Smith, you are starting Jonnu Smith over A.J. Barner, even though A.J. Barner caught 1 touchdown. That's what I am saying, and I recommend. All right. DK Metcalf. Are we starting DK Metcalf with confidence? Okay. Calvin Austin. Are we starting him? I'm saying.
Do you have a 4th flex guy, the 4th wide receiver on your team?
I'm saying you sit Calvin Austin. Okay. That's who we have for Pittsburgh and New England. Let's go to the next game. You have the Rams at the Eagles at Philadelphia. 69 degrees, partly cloudy, 6-mile-per-hour winds out of the northeast. The Philadelphia Eagles. The word on the street is...
What's the word on the street, Commish?
The word on the street
You have the ear to all the gossip?
Well, I try.
All the pochinche?
All the cheese, man. That being said, the word on the street is they want to get more packages for Jalen Hurts to run the ball.
I did hear something similar.
Run the ball. Think about this. He could throw the ball. I know A.J. Brown owners do not want to hear this. But for some reason, you're going to have to realize that the changing of the guard, the changing of the coordinators, the changing of the atmosphere, put your finger on the pulse, you know, check the temperature, feel how it feels. Guess what? It's not looking too good. So if you can sell high on A.J. Brown, I suggest you do that.
Wow.
You sell high. Sell on the name alone. Sell on the name alone. Because if this is the case, because they've seen it for 2 weeks now with A.J. Brown, and again, a number 1 receiver always gets those targets. Always.
Well, listen, you better hope Saquon never gets hurt this year.
Well, so let's talk about the starts. You're definitely starting Saquon, obviously.
Starting Hurts.
You're starting because if you're going to run the ball, and he's still going to pass the ball, but if you're going to run, you're going to get those running yard points. The tight ends, you do not start for the Philadelphia Eagles here. You don't start the tight ends. Are we starting A.J. Brown with confidence?
No, you're going to start him, but you can't be confident
Right.
that he's going to get you, 16 points. I don't even know if he can get you a touchdown.
And that's insane. You just said 16 points. Think about this. This is A.J. Brown. 16 points.
Yes, what you're looking at is maybe 6 catches for 60 yards. That's 12, but You know what? They're very good offensively, and as soon as they're within that red zone, and furthermore, if they're within 5, it's a run game.
Yeah, it is. It is. They're not passing it to anyone. If anyone you're gonna have a little bit of confidence in, it's gonna be Devontae Smith. But he's been getting the deep bombs for some reason. He's been getting more than AJ Brown. It seems as though AJ Brown's getting frustrated. You know, when it's been 2 games. You know, he could be a diva out there. So.
But if there is hope right here, it comes in the form of their opponent, because they do have a rather potent offense.
Yes,
they got some playmakers on offense. You know, Devontae Adams, the legend. You got Puka Nacua, and you got Karen Williams and Matthew Stafford. Another, he's found the fountain of youth too. These guys are out there; they can score points. Yeah. Their defense is pretty good. And they have the ability to maybe stop the run game. So this might be the week that Philly has to pass the ball more.
That's a fair point. The Rams might be up, so force the Philly. You start A.J. Brown. Temper expectation on A.J. Brown. The Rams, like the co-commissioner just said, Devontae Adams is a stud. Puka is a stud. The tight end doesn't really get the ball. Higbee doesn't really get the ball too much. But again, streaming, if you don't have any tight ends, is someone to throw out there to get something instead of a 0. And let's talk about Kyren Williams. Yes, you start Kyren Williams, but let me tell you, Kyren Williams, it seems as though it's touchdown or bust for Kyren Williams based on what they're doing out there with the run game with Blake Corum. Blake Corum got the red zone target, get the red zone carry, and he got the touchdown.
He did.
I understand that, but it seems as though that Kyren's not getting that heavy workload that he got last year.
Well, maybe the coach is finally true to his word in saying that he wants to,
preserve him.
All
right, that's a fair point. But again, you are starting Kyren Williams, but you're watching the game and you're hoping for it. It seems as though he's more touchdown dependent now. That's how it seems, because he doesn't get to catch out the backfield.
Well, he hasn't had one of those big games so far this year.
Nothing. Again,
this might be a bad week to try to expect him to do.
Thank you.
Against the defensive front of Phillies.
That's what I'm saying. You are going to start him, but do not expect much from Kyren Williams, okay? Because you're playing Phillies defensive front. They're pretty good. All right, let's move on to the next game. You got, the Jets versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa Bay, 87 degrees, 40% chance of rain, 8 mile per hour winds out of the northeast. Right.
And this just in, Justin Fields is not going to play.
Concussion, he's out. Tyrod Taylor is playing here. Now, he is a streaming little quarterback out there. Tyrod Taylor has won championships in the back in the day. He won me a championship.
Fantasy championship.
Yes, he has.
He has.
He's won me my fantasy championship when he played for the Buffalo Bills. He's capable. He is capable of running his offense.
He's capable of supporting a fantasy star. Yes.
Yes. So if you need a quarterback and he's sitting on the waiver wire and you have a guy like Joe Burrow who's down and he's just staring at you and you need a streamer, it might be a guy to start, okay? Does he support Garrett Wilson? I think you start Garrett Wilson with confidence. You sit Mason Taylor. You sit him. You do not play Mason Taylor. The other wide receiver, Reynolds, you don't play him at all. I think they lean towards the run game a little bit more this week. I think Breece Hall is the one that you start with confidence.
Yeah, and listen, if they're going to lean on their run game, they're just not going to give everything to Breece Hall. Braylon Allen might be a sneaky flex play.
Yeah.
He was kind of absent from the game last week, but then again, they were totally destroyed also. So
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with your starts there. You start Garrett Wilson, you start Breece, and flex maybe Braylon.
That's fair. All right. The Buccaneers on the Bucs. Whew. Let me tell you.
The Jets defense, to you, has it been as dominant as the years past, or they look a little shaky?
Well, they've been down. I think, listen, they've always carried that team. Their defense has been pretty good, and they need the offense to meet them halfway, and they haven't been doing that at all. So, I don't know about you, but, I'm sure that the defensive guys are like, geez, we were just out there for three plays, we held them, and you guys just give 3 and out. So that gets tiring on a defense. They have to sustain drives here, keep the clock rolling. If they do, you keep the defense on the sideline. They start resting, and they can go out there and do their job. The Buccaneers, it's going to be hard for that Jet defense to stop this Buccaneers offense because the Buccaneers offense is kind of clicking on all cylinders. Baker Mayfield is a must start. Mike Evans is a must start. And Abuka is a must start, and Bucky as well. And you know who else might be a must start? It was coming out party yesterday. He looked the other day. He looked good on Monday night. Mr. White
It was not a coming out party.
for me. It was.
This was exactly what they had Rashad White for, and we just talked about Kyren Williams getting a touchdown vultured from him. Bucky got one vultured from him too. Bucky was the one that got him down the field, and when they got into within the 5, they got Rashad White. Rashad White did look.
He looked good.
Like he looked good.
Yeah,
he's
he
a
did.
little bulkier than
Yeah.
Bucky, so he can get in there in those tough yardage situations. But it's a good combination both of them have, that they have there. But yes, you might start Rashad White as a flex, but you start Bucky, you start
course.
Baker, you start Ibuka, and you start
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
All right, let's go on to the next game. The Raiders at the Washington Commanders. The Raiders, 72 degrees, 4 mile per hour winds out of the southeast.
Talk about two teams that haven't gone off on the right foot,
You're telling me.
and they had expectations.
You're telling me.
Something's got to give in this game.
Yeah, I know it's got to give, and I'm hoping it's given. All right, but it hasn't been given in 2 weeks. Let's talk about the Washington Commanders. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, he didn't practice today on Wednesday. We don't know if he's going to play. I personally feel as though he's not going to play. We all wish he does play. I don't think he's going to play. Why would you risk your thoroughbred with a bad knee, okay, to get him hurt again, a la RG3? You can't do this to this kid again. You can't. Their backup, Mariota, may be starting. If I remember correctly, Mariota does roll out a lot. He's got some wheels. He's not super accurate. That favors, to me, I hate to say this, it favors Debo more than Terry McLaurin because he runs over the middle of the field more.
Listen, Mariota is a very experienced quarterback who can definitely fill in for one game against a team that has been struggling offensively in the Raiders. So, yes, if I was Washington, I would sit Jaden Daniels, start Mariota, and then go ahead and see what I have with Debo and with Bill, who will probably get the start. But I don't know. This may be one of those games where if you listen to a lot of people out there, Bill will be in there the first 2 downs, and then on passing downs it might be McNichols, right?
Yeah.
And that might cap some of his upside. But now we're talking about the Raiders. They held Marion Hampton. Their leading rusher, the last game they played, was the quarterback, Justin Herbert. So, temper your expectations with starting Bill this week.
Yeah, but unless you have nothing else, you're going to have to start him and hope. Don't expect big, ginormous numbers from Bill. And if you do get ginormous numbers, you know what?
Well, another aspect is, don't forget this, even though Mariota is competent.
He runs as well.
Yeah, he does run, but the Raiders might just stack the box. Try to stop the run. McLaurin's not doing anything thus far. Are they really scared about Debo? Maybe they just center on him and focus on stopping the defense on the run. It could be a very low-scoring game. No, on the other side, Washington's defense, I mean, you talk about the offense. The offense hasn't been clicking, right? We can agree on that.
Yeah.
They played. Fortunately for them, they played the Giants the first game of the year, and that was good for them. Their defense pretty much held up. Last week they played Green Bay. Green Bay's defense pretty much stopped them, held them in check. And did Washington? Washington really didn't let any of the receivers do anything other than Tucker Kraft.
Yeah.
This might be the week for Brock Bowers to get back on track.
You're going to start Brock Bowers regardless.
Yes.
Jacoby Myers' target share is just too high to sit him down. You're not starting Deontay Thornton. You're not starting Trey Tucker.
Genty?
So we got to talk about this. So obviously Genty was drafted very high, possibly first round in a lot of drafts. All right. I still think they're still going to feature him. Obviously they are. They're going to force him the ball. I still think you got to start Genty because the possibility of a touchdown there in the red zone, you still got to start him.
Well, he's still getting the lion's share of the touches, so that's why you have to start him. But you got to temper your expectations about what he can produce for you right now against a pretty good Raider Washington run defense.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But you and I, we said that, we talked about how the rookie running backs were very unimpressive so far in 2 games. And I think we said that, Dylan Sampson was the one actually leading in fantasy points scored of all a 4th round pick for Cleveland. Yeah. So And he's going to be meeting a lot more competition now that Quinshawn's back. So who is going to be this rookie running back that finally stands out?
I don't know. It might be the second half. Who knows? Because they're not standing up. Can the real rookie running back stand up, please?
Yeah, please.
Please stand up. Like, where are you? Okay? Because I need you. You guys need him. I know you do. All right, that's what we have for the Raiders and Washington Commanders. I almost said it. The next game, Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. In Carolina, 80 degrees, no rain, 5-mile-per-hour winds out of the northeast. You got the Carolina Panthers. You are starting Tedero again. Oh, here we go. Tedero McMillan was drafted in the first round, wide receiver. He's doing very well. The target share is going his way.
Yeah.
You know, they're force feeding him the ball. And that's exactly what you want, okay? Whereas Abuka is the same thing. They're force-feeding him the ball as well. He's showcasing with the most touchdowns as in the rookie wide receiver class. He's got 3 in 2 games, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, Abuka still doesn't have the targets that Ted has. I wouldn't say they're
But he has the
force-feeding the ball,
touchdowns.
but he's involved.
Yeah, he's involved more.
And Ted is involved, to your point.
Yes.
So, and I think he's the only receiver really involved. I don't know where
No.
Xavier Leggett is.
Well, there is another receiver with the Panthers that's been involved a little bit, and I understand they were down, so they had to throw him the ball. But he has a little confidence in the red zone. That'd be a sneaky start. Would be a little Hunter Renfrow would be a sneaky little start out there if you need a wide receiver. Okay,
A little flex play.
A little flex play. If you need a wide receiver and you need a wide receiver that gets the ball in the red zone that Mr. Young feels comfortable looking his way, it is Hunter Renfrow. That's who it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Jatavius Sanders has been getting a lot of balls thrown his way as well. Tight end, you can start him, Mr. Sanders. Now they were down in the game, so they force fed him the ball as well. We don't know how, but you know what? You can always piggyback off of a game like this because he does have the skill set. I say you could start Mr. Sanders. Your thoughts?
Oh, I definitely. I don't know if he's a must start, but I would feel confident if I had my team saying, I think he's going to go out there and give me something.
I'll give you an example: Hunter Henry or Jatavius Sanders. Who are you starting?
In this week's games,
Yeah.
I'm definitely starting Sanders.
There you go. And then Chuba Hubbard.
Yes.
Atlanta's defense is pretty good.
Yeah, they've definitely improved
Yeah.
from last year. They're no longer a walkover. So
They're good defense.
Bryce Young, be careful out there.
So Chuba Hubbard, you're starting with confidence, obviously, because he is a back that gets the lion's share of the carries. So you gotta, send him out there and see what he can do. So those are the guys in Carolina. Now Atlanta. All right. Michael Penix didn't have a great week last week. They were saying that they game plan for the run. Okay. You had Drake London, who has come back from a AC joint sprain. It seemed though they wanted to shy away from him. They kind of run routes out there and make him look like the decoy. All right, they just had to have him on the field. He did have 5 targets, by the way, and 1 fumble. But you still start Mr. London if he's out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely you have to.
Bijan is the man. You start Bijan with confidence.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Really, with Drake banged up a little, why risk it when you got Bijan, who's just basically running over everyone?
Yeah. Well, they still going to throw the ball. They may be down, and as long as they're up, Atlanta, they're not going to allow their rookie quarterback, even though he technically is a rookie. This is third or fourth game or so. He's still learning.
Well, they're going to lean on their run game.
Tyler
Tyler Algier.
And Tyler Algier is a must start, believe it or not. Tyler Algier and Bijan are must starts because they are splitting the ball, but they're getting. It's almost like David Montgomery and Gibbs.
Well, and this is what I've been trying to impress upon you for the last season here, that those days of McCaffrey-esque type running backs, they're gone.
But you got to understand one thing. I'm hard-headed. I'm very hard-headed, and I'm old school. All right, it's almost like you have this AI thinking process. I'm still the days of getting the New York Post and looking at the target share from the
I got
newspaper.
you, but you want to know something?
I got
now?
to change.
You got to change, number one. But the second thing is, it's not bad if you can emulate a Montgomery and Gibbs where they can both produce fantasy points for you. I think that's a good deal.
Yeah, but that's hard as an
It
owner.
is hard
it's
to
hard.
do,
It's
but-
hard to figure out who to start and who to sit when you have a guy. When you have a guy like, let's just say, Bill and Algier. The guy's gonna get the start. He's the starter out there. Bill's not the guy, maybe because he's a rookie. We don't know what he's going to do. Like
No,
a
but
Quishon,
that's still a good comparison.
like a Quishon Junkins. You got Quishon Junkins, who's the starter out there, and then you have Algier. So they're on your team. Who you start? You starting Algier over Quishon Junkins, who's getting the start.
Even if you label Quinshon a starter, quote unquote, and Algier is the backup,
Right.
and they both come on the field for the same percentages of snaps, then it's all about what they do with those snaps.
Yeah. Well, we don't
And
know.
at this point, I trust Algier being out there. Yeah, there'll be weeks where he doesn't get a touchdown, and so he might only get you 7 points, but then there's weeks where he's going to get a touchdown and it's 13, 14, 15 points.
But you know how hard that is
Yes.
to chase those points
I
as
know,
an owner?
but that it's not
gonna
going
drive you
away.
crazy.
It's not going away.
I understood. So you start Bijan with confidence. If you have Algier, if you have no one else to put in your flex spot, you can start Algier as well.
Yes, I agree.
The one that you can start with a little bit of confidence, believe this or not, after the 5 years, 5 seasons, is Mr. Kyle Pitts. He's been getting some target shares out there as well. He'll get you 4 or 5 catches. Maybe
Now,
6.
is that because of the injuries to Mooney and London?
But they were on the field. I think
Banged up.
What I think is Penix felt a little bit more confident, more comfortable throwing those intermediate routes because he's been throwing the ball to Bijan a little bit out the backfield a little bit more. He does have
What did
a strong.
Penix? I have Penix in the league. I think he got me.
Understood.
He hardly threw the ball.
Well, they didn't need to throw the ball. That's the problem.
Is this game going to be one where they need to throw the ball?
I don't think so. I think it's going to run the ball here. I do. If anyone's going to come out here, maybe it would if Drake London comes out okay. I think Drake London gets fed. I'm not saying 15 targets. They don't need to throw 15 targets to him. It's almost the Philadelphia Eagle effect. It's the A.J. Brown effect. It seems as though that's where we're going with the Atlanta Falcons. All right, let's move on.
Yes.
The Texans at the Jaguars, 82 degrees in Jacksonville. Chance of thunderstorm, 43%. 9-mile-per-hour winds out of the northeast. All right. That's how you look at it. Okay.
This is an
What are we
interesting
doing here?
game. I'll take Jacksonville. They coming off and they imploded. They could have won that game. The Bengals did not win it. The Jaguars lost it as far as I'm
I
concerned. They could have kicked the field goal and then the game would have been over essentially. But they went for it. Brian Thomas Jr., for whatever you believe, whether he's scared of getting hit or his wrist injury has something to do with it or whatever, he dropped the pass and they didn't score. All right. I think that Jacksonville's not a bad team. Brian Thomas Jr., don't panic. He'll get back on track. ETN is carrying them right now. So I think you're starting ETN. You're starting Brian Thomas Jr. because, hey, you have to start him. He's a high-priced guy. I don't know if you start Travis Hunter.
I don't think so. I think you said Travis Hunter. They still haven't figured out with Travis Hunter yet. I'm going to go on a limb, and it's almost the Atlanta Falcon effect. It is it's the Detroit Lion effect. Are we doing this with Mr. Tootin? Are you starting Tootin and ATM? I'm going to say if you have no other running backs out there, Mr. Tootin may be a flex starter for you.
You know, I'm going to say this. If you don't have anything,
Yes.
and you need to throw in,
Well-
that you definitely, like you said, I would like to wait another week because everything's so jumbled.
Right, but you know what? A lot of owners out there do not have the flexibility or the running backs out there to wait another week. So if you do have Mrs. Tootin on your bench, okay, and you're looking at a guy like maybe, I don't know, let's just say, I don't know, Malik Washington for the Dolphins or Tootin. You're starting Tootin in the flex.
Well, listen, let's take a look at their opposition. Houston's got a pretty good
They
defense.
do have a good defense.
They
yes.
definitely have a good defensive line. They're going to be in Trevor Lawrence's face. He might not have a chance to pass to Brian Thomas Jr., and dump offs might be the key. And the other person I was thinking about was Brenton Strange.
Okay. All right. Are we starting Brendan Strange with confidence?
I don't know about with confidence because he really hasn't done, there was a lot of expectation about him coming into this year.
Yeah.
And I still think that the Jaguars offense isn't clicking yet. I think they're still working out some kinks.
Now, that being said, don't forget Mr. Stingley is going to be sticking Brian Thomas Jr.
Yes.
So I said, you know, look what he did against who did he play this weekend?
Evans.
Oh, Mike Evans. Yes, Mike Evans is a little slower than Brian Thomas Jr., but Stingley's no slouch out there. Just remember that. Stingley's
No,
and
and
he
if-
followed them throughout the whole field.
And if BTJ really does have a wrist injury and he's gonna have to make contested catches all the way around, this might be another ugly game for
it
him.
might be an ugly game. Yeah, 100%.
But in that to go back to the original point, maybe that's the reason why you do start on as a flex option a Bishul Tootin.
Yeah, I like Bichelle Tootin this week. All right, let's talk about the Houston Texans. Listen, what happened to C.J. Stroud? And I know the line, I get it, but you know what? He had a little bit of time. So he overthrew a couple of passes. I watched the whole game. He overthrew. This as a rookie, he wasn't missing those passes. For some reason, he's not looking right out there. I'm going to say you sit. C.J. Stroud, you are going to sit him. Now, the running backs, Nick Chubb. He had one long touchdown run, all right, 35 yards, 21-yard run, whatever it may be. But it's not like he ran away with the running back position, all right? He didn't run away. They brought out the rookie, Woody Marks. Woody Marks had 3 carries, I believe 13 yards, and he had that one catch for 34 yards. And guess what? Completely went away from the run from the pass game. Completely went away. One catch, 34 yards, went away, never threw him the ball again. Something's got to give here. Nico Collins had a great catch over there on the sidelines. Fantastic. He's a stud. You got to start him. I don't think you start anybody else.
Well, if you're starting running backs, and we all know how starting running backs are, you still have to start Nick Chubb. You started Nico. You're right. I don't know if you start C.J. Stroud out there with confidence.
You don't start C.J. Stroud.
Dalton Schultz, any one of their other wide receivers, he just doesn't have the time. And as an Eli Manning fan back in the day, I can understand what he's going through. When that offensive line does not protect, in your internal clock says 1 second, 2 seconds, I got to get rid of this. I got to move. And if you're moving, you're definitely not going to throw with accuracy either.
Then if that was the case, and it goes, like I've always said, it goes back on, if you know you don't have the time to do a 7-step drop or moving back, letting the route come open deep down the field like he used to have with Tank Dell and Nico Collins and blow the top off the defense, then you use your intermittent, the short game, the screens, the dump balls, which they do not do. Okay, so that's who I feel you should start and who you should sit.
Yes, I know. And you and I had this intellectual conversation about this. I could understand tight end screens, the quick bubble screens. I understand all that. That gets let the defense's aggressiveness play against itself.
Yes, they don't.
But what did I say to you? I said, and this is going to speak to the state of their offensive line. Maybe they don't have the athleticism to produce or to conduct those plays. And if that's the case, then they're not going to see this. They're going to have to play it old fashioned and just drop back and get lucky.
But wait a minute. Last year they didn't have a line either. I think C.J. Stroud was a quarterback that was mostly sacked last year, correct? Well, he
wasn't.
He was one of them.
He was one of them, yes. But he didn't have a line then. He doesn't have a line this year.
Hold on now. However, Mixon ran very effectively last year.
Yes, he did. And you want to know something?
Because they fed him the ball.
Mixon's not playing this year.
I understand
It doesn't matter if you feed Nick Chubb the ball. He's not going to do what Mixon did.
I get it. I'm not saying...
Who else are they feeding the ball to anyway?
Then you have to be creative, okay? Be a little bit more creative. Don't tell me that, not you per se. What I'm trying to say is the offensive line, they didn't have one this year, they didn't have one last year. But they still featured the run game with the screen pad. They gave them the ball at the backfield. They're not doing it this year. All right, so that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Well, we'll see if they can go figure it out.
We'll see.
Against the Jacksonville team who
I doubt it.
Who hasn't clicked, but is not that bad.
I like Trevor Lawrence, believe it or not. Trevor Lawrence would have had 4 touchdown passes if a couple of wide receivers didn't drop the ball in the end zone. All right. Next game on the docket is the Denver Broncos and the Chargers. It's in L.A. The Chargers are looking good. However, this is crazy. The Chargers' pass is looking good, and their run is looking suspect. We're used to the other way around.
Well, we certainly didn't expect that with their offensive philosophy.
No.
Yes.
We are looking. It's amazing how they turn this system around.
Well, I think they realized that what kind of arm they have in Justin Herbert, and then I think what they realized they didn't know at first is that when healthy, because he's had some leg injuries, he can run the ball. And that's another added dimension to the game that the defense has to account for. This is a tough matchup for him to be able to do that.
Really? Danny Nichols did well against the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry. I'm saying you start Herbert with confidence out here.
I always have a problem with division games. I understand what you're saying. You make sense. But division games usually are lower scoring, and they just... I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's familiarity or whatever, but I think Denver's going to show up.
Okay. I'm saying you start Justin Herbert with confidence.
Keenan, I agree, but
Keenan Allen, you're starting with confidence. He has the volume. Ladd McConkey, whoa. Let me tell you, Ladd McConkey, a lot of people drafted him very high. Yes. They're expecting a superstar stardom. Last year, he was featured because there was no Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson coming back. Finally, he's making plays, what they thought he was going to do. 2 years ago when they drafted him, he hasn't had 2 good years. He's having a coming out party, okay? Mr. Johnson, it's hurting Ladd McConkey. You're starting Ladd McConkey, but wow. It's kind of like your temper expectation. You're not expecting 25 points a game from Mr. McConkey. No more. It seems like that. The touchdowns aren't there. The volume isn't there. The 10 catches isn't there. He's not going to get 10 catches a game. Okay? He's not. You are starting him, but don't expect those type of numbers anymore. As long as Keenan Allen is in there.
You might be right. We'll see how the game plans. You know, every game is different. They game plan for a different receiver sometimes.
Yeah.
This might be the week that Ladd finally gets something more attention. Who knows? But yes, they like that. And it's all predicated on the run. Even though they're not running effectively, the fact that even Herbert can run is opening up the deep pass.
So let's talk. Can you please talk about the run game with the Chargers, please? I'm not starting Omarion Hampton.
No, you know what? After week 1, when he was getting the snap percentage, I'd say, yeah, you have to start him out there a la Genti. But now it was 50-50 with Najee. I don't know if I'm trusting him.
Yeah.
Again, if you don't have a viable option, and
yeah.
All right, listen, I'm going to give you my scenario, right? Mm-hmm. I have Ramadre. I have Bucky Irving. I have Ramadre and Hampton. I want to start 2 running backs.
Ramadre and Bucky.
I'm starting Bucky. Do I start Ramadre or do I start Hampton?
Ramadre.
I think I'm starting Stevenson this week.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're talking about. You do not start Will Disley, the tight end. I believe if you have any of those receivers, you are starting them with confidence. Let's talk about the Broncos here. Listen, Mr. Franklin came out this week. Finally came out, had a phenomenal star-studded week last week. Are we expecting the same numbers this week? Because Mr. Sutton, their number 1, was not featured too much. I think the number 1 status for last week was Mr. Franklin. Was that more a game plan, or is this what we're expecting every week from Mr. Franklin?
I think the defenses know to target and keep Courtland Sutton under wraps.
Right.
And if you remember 2 weeks ago, Bo Nix had a horrible game. Yeah. And he was trying to force feed the ball to Sutton.
He was looking, yep.
Maybe he realized last week, hey, listen, I can't keep doing that. And that's where Troy Franklin had a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, they do have a college connection. They played together in college, so there's some chemistry there. Don't forget, Troy Franklin is also not a small guy. He's 6'3". So these are, maybe this really is them finding out that Troy Franklin is their second wide receiver.
All right. So, all right. You know what? If you got Troy Franklin and you don't have anyone else, because I'm sure you picked him up either priority number 1, priority number 2, you wasted your fab money on him, whatever you guys did, all right, you picked him up and you wasted whatever percentage of your fab on this individual, you're going to start him, okay, Mr. Franklin. You're going to start Sutton still. You're still going to start Sutton because you know what? He has an opportunity to get that touchdown, possibly 2 touchdowns. He's been known to blow up. You're sitting Ingram. He doesn't look, I don't know, he's just not there. You're sitting him. And you are starting Mr. J.K. Dobbins. You are starting Dobbins.
Yes. You're starting
Dobbins. He's been getting the ball. He looks pretty good.
Now, listen, I'm going to go on a limb here, going to you start Dobbins, but I don't know if R.J. Harvey is going to be the next guy that you have confidence in. If this is a high-scoring game, example, then you're going to get a Tyler Beatty in there who's on the passing downs, will be in there.
Yeah, you're sitting R.J. Harvey, which is a shame, because, again, you're drafting all these running backs. I get it. The speed is different. They're rookies. They're learning. I understand that. But the only way to learn is to be out there. But Dobbins knows what he's doing, and I think you start him with confidence. All right. And Mr. Bo Nix. It's going to be a shootout between both of them. Bo Nix is going to have the
It
opportunity.
might be, yes.
Yep. I think you start Bo Nix with confidence. All right, next team on the docket is going to be the Saints versus the Seahawks in Seattle. Slight chance of rain, 30% chance of rain, 4-mile-per-hour winds. We all know Seattle. There's always raining over there. We all know that could be dreary. So we'll see. And it's loud. It's loud in Seattle. So let's talk about the Saints here.
This is going to be a tough game for
It's
the
gonna
Saints.
be right. It's gonna be a tough game for Mr. Rattler. I say you sit Mr. Rattler over there. Kamara, you're gonna start because he gets the volume. I watched the game last week. They featured Rashid Shaheed and Olave, probably the only two really. No, out of the wide receivers, you start them. You temper expectations with the wide receivers. The one here is Mr. Believe it or not, Mr. Resurgence is Johnson, the tight end, because he does. Mr. Rattler does feature him a lot.
Well, we go back to a young quarterback's best friend, tight
The
end.
tight end and the running back, and they do get the ball.
And even though Kamara might not be catching the ball in the backfield, I think that what's making up is Juwan Johnson getting the ball. So I think you're right. Those definitely the starts.
You want to talk about Seattle?
Who are we starting, Charbonnet or Kenny Walker? Because Kenny Walker looked like the guy that we all said he was going to be at the beginning of the year.
So this is my take. All right, I own Sharon, Kenny Walker, and Mr. Charbonnet. From this day forward, for now, I'm going with Mr. Walker. I am going with Walker. I watched him, again, the eye test. Walker looks explosive when they give him the ball. Example, I saw the play where he scored the touchdown. It was a pitch play. Instead of running the ball north and south in between the teeth of the defense, they allow him to work in space. I think he works well in space. Zone, running scheme, pass the ball at the backfield, screens. He has the speed and power.
Well, who did they face in that first game? The Niners.
Pretty good defense.
Pretty good linebacker
Fast.
core.
Yeah, they're fast. So
that could have been a reason why he just didn't have that game that we all expected.
Okay. All right, and that's obviously JSN is a must start.
Yes.
Sam Darnold he's a start as well.
He's a must start.
Yep. The tight end AJ Barnum, I don't believe he's a must start. New Orleans has a sneaky little good defensive line. They might get to Darnold a couple of times, and I think that's pretty much it. Cooper Kupp, listen, I think it's time to hang up the cleats. I really do. I think it's time to hang up the cleats. All right, Mr. Kupp.
He does look like he's definitely struggling out there.
Yeah, I think it's time. All right, let's move on to the next game. Dallas and the Bears. It's in Chicago. And I think Chicago is going to burn down soon, in my opinion. 6-mile-per-hour winds out of southeast, 75 degrees. Chance of thunderstorms, I doubt it's 33% chance. I'm going to talk about the Chicago Bears because I own a lot of stock in Chicago Bears. I am super frustrated with the Chicago Bears. Okay, Caleb Williams. Yes, he gives you fancy numbers, so you got to start Caleb Williams. He gives you. Everyone enjoys numbers. They turn around.
Of course, that's how you win games.
Right, he runs the ball. You're getting those. You're getting those points. So people don't mind him running around. However, what I have a problem with is the coaching staff. You and I talk about it. You don't draft a tight end or a wide receiver top 10 or the first round, the second 10th pick of the second round, or the second round, whatever it may be, to just sit on the sidelines. I get the whole concept of you're going to have to learn, but not that high. If you were going to do that, you draft a guy like a Isaac Tesla. You know, you put him out there, let him learn, and you draft yourself a left tackle like my trusty cousin says. He's a diehard Bear fan. You know that he wants a left tackle. He'll cut off his right pinky toe for a left tackle and running the ball. So
he's drastic.
He is. So who to start in this game? You got some good hot people. Rome Odunze had a phenomenal game. All right, or do they keep featuring Rome Odunze?
You do until someone tells you otherwise.
Correct. You are starting Rome Odunze with confidence. You're starting Caleb Williams with confidence. DJ Moore. You temper expectation with DJ Moore. It's almost getting to the status where it's a show me. Might have to, if I have a better option out there, I might have to sit DJ Moore, put a better option up there, and then if he does well, to see what type of target share he gets for the next week or so, because you're gonna keep bringing out DJ Moore out there, and you're gonna be let down.
Well, let's just say this. You know, they put up a ton of points. They had a very emotional win against the Giants last week. This is Dallas. But one thing we know for sure is that their defense isn't the same without Micah Parsons there.
No, it's not.
And their secondary is suspect. And it wasn't just Malik Neighbors, the alpha receiver. It was also Wandell Robinson.
Yeah, he blew up as well. Yeah.
So you know what? If you were if DJ was gonna wake up this week, DJ Moore, this might be the week that he wakes up to.
Okay, that's fair. Co-commissioner says start DJ Moore. I'm saying if you have someone else better, you start him. Otherwise, you put him out there and hope he gives you some great numbers.
The Giants don't pass the ball to the tight end, so you might be in for another rough day with Colson Loveland.
Well, that's what
unless they're purposely saying we're going to get this guy involved.
So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say you sit Colson Loveland. For you dynasty owners who drafted Colson Loveland pretty high, which I did, you're going to have to just. It's just a weight game with him. Redraft, he is droppable. He is droppable.
Yeah.
Okay, in a redraft. I don't think they feature him. They need to start featuring their tight ends. They have Cole Kmet. If that's the case, there are other teams in the NFL who needs tight ends. Make a trade. All right, you're gonna have to give somebody up for something. If they can eat the contract, trade them. Something's got to give with the Chicago, because if they go 0-3, I'm telling you, it's Chicago's going to burn. All right, with the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, don't forget you're starting DeAndre Swift.
Oh, and DeAndre Swift. All right, but don't be surprised. There's whispers that Kyle Monangai, they might want to give him a chance. Just keep an eye on him. All right, Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb's a must start, and Mr. Pickens had a great week last week, and the Chicago Bears cornerbacks are all hurting. So you fire up George Pickens, and you fire up CeeDee Lamb, and you do fire up Javonte, and you fire up Dak, and you fire up.
Wow, you fired up everybody. This is gonna be a high-scoring game.
I believe that the Dallas Cowboys are frustrated. They lost last week. I think they're coming.
They won last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. They played the Giants. I apologize. I think that this is a game where everyone's gonna eat. That's me. And Dak Prescott's gonna have a decent game. All right. They're gonna try to rely on the run game, but it's Javonte Williams here. They're gonna give him 25 carries. I doubt it. So I'm saying all the skill position players.
I'll be very surprised if this winds up being a low-scoring game.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. The Cardinals versus the 49ers. Slight chance of rain, 4% chance, so I doubt it. 3-mile-per-hour winds out of Northwest, so kicking game's going to be okay. The 49ers, Mac and Cheese Jones. There goes the man. There goes that man again. Mac and Cheese Jones did well last week. 3 touchdowns when he came in. He could run this offense. He can support fantasy relevant wide receivers.
Oh, absolutely. Take a look what he did with Brian Thomas Jr. last year.
Yep, he can support him. So the only difference is I'm thinking that I thought he was going to feature Ricky Pearsall more. He featured Jawan Jennings and Pearsall both, but Jennings had that long bomb, that touchdown, hit him in stride, which was a beautiful pass. He took a couple of sacks, but it was his first game. I think Mac and Cheese Jones, if you need a streaming quarterback, he's a fine plug and play.
Yeah, I mean, if you had Brock Purdy and you were lucky enough to get Mac Jones off the waiver, Yep. I don't think you're missing a beat.
I do too. The tight ends, temper expectation with the tight end with Tongas, and because Farrell was the one who got the touchdown as well, they featured both of them. But you could tell Kyle Shanahan's offense features a tight end, a couple of tight end screens. I've seen that game as well. But if you need a streaming tight end, Tongas is the one to start. Farrell got the one touchdown, but I think he gets the volume more than Farrell does. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey.
Yes,
he gets everything. Yes. He's their whole offense. You start him with confidence. You want to talk about the Arizona Cardinals?
There's not much to talk about here because
I'm frustrated with this team.
What's their record?
Aren't they 1-1? I believe. Well,
whatever their record is, it looks like they're 0-2.
Yeah.
All right,
but we talked about that. I'd rather be an ugly 2-0 than ugly 2-0. Than a pretty 0-2. Yeah. That's what I'd rather be.
I understand. You're right. I think you're starting this game. You only starting 2 people with confidence, and that's McBride and Kyler Murray. Even though he's a frustrating guy, he can get you some running yards. I think you're going to get the running game bottled up. And Marvin Harrison Jr. When Murray's is being pressured, which he's going to be, he's not going to find Harrison. He's going to find McBride. So this could be an ugly game. They're playing again as a divisional game. I understand that anything could happen.
Yeah.
But they're playing in San Fran, and the Cardinals don't look like they have everything put together yet, especially with their Alpha X receiver.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, that's what we have with the Cardinals out there. Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, just to piggyback off what you just said, Marvin Harrison. Listen, the guy's got to get featured. I don't think it's going to happen until Kyle Murray gets moved. traded somewhere else. I'll give you an example.
Oh, then it's never going to happen this year.
No, I'll give you an example. Mac and Cheese Jones, the quarterback of the Cardinals, would feed him the ball.
Yeah, I would agree.
Something like that. All right.
Then we'll have to ask ourselves, is this an issue of coaching? Is it an issue of the quarterback just not being able to get on the ball? Is it an issue of Marvin Harrison not creating separation? Is it a combination of all three? Who knows?
Well, again, when I watch the game out there and I spot check Marvin Harrison, I'm watching his routes. It's like it seems as though he knows that the ball is going to go to him because the moment he takes off the line, you could tell the body language.
It's like that's he knows. The case, then you got to lay some of the blame on his feet.
Feet or the coaching?
No, him.
Well,
if he's going out there, it's going to be the same. Every coach says, I want every play to look the same because if I do that, the defense never knows what's coming. No. This time I'm going to do a sweep, but the next play I'm doing a tight end into the flat, but everything looks the same. If Marvin Harrison is going out there and half-stepping on a few plays, taking some time off, then the defense knows that it's not going to him, and they're going to focus on something else.
Well, I'm saying is he knows. All I'm saying is if he knows it's not going to him, that means the coaches are calling someone else's play. That's what I'm saying. Because when he knows,
if you're a professional, you can't take a play off.
I get it. It's
like running down to first base, hustling down to first base, even if it's a ground ball. You never know.
Nah, that's fair. All right, let's talk about the next game. The final two games we have on the docket here: the Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Football Giants. 65 degrees this Sunday. 6-mile-per-hour winds out northeast. Guess what?
If I would have said to you this game is going to be a matchup between two 0-2 teams, would you have believed that one of those 0-2 teams would have been that Chiefs?
What I do know is the New York Football Giants are going to be 0-3, just like the Miami Dolphins.
That's true.
All right? So I don't want to hear it. However, this is fantasy. Let's talk about the fantasy. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is really, really good. Okay? So Tyrone Tracy, in my opinion, is a must-sit. All right? If anyone you're going to start there is Cam Scatterboo because he has the ability in the red zone. I think he gets the red zone targets. He might have a touchdown, maybe two. You never know. I think maybe two. But I think Scatterboo is a must-start over there. Malik Neighbors is a stud. You're starting him. Flexing, if you have nobody else, Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson, because Russell Wilson loves to throw the ball deep. We've seen this. So Wan'Dale Robinson is taking the place. You know who he reminds me of? Kind of hit that connection. Tyler Lockett. Who else? Who else did he have over there? It was a couple of years ago. Baldwin. Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Darius Slayton is not getting any looks.
You don't need to. Wan'Dale Robinson reminds me of his connection of the plays the way he
just said Lockett.
Lockett and Baldwin.
Oh, you can't be like
either
two
or
people.
Yes, you can.
Listen, Russell Wilson's not supporting three guys. It's going to be Malik. It's going to be Wan'Dale. They're not throwing to their tight end. And they're not going to probably throw it too much to Tyrone Tracy, even though I would normally have said Casey's going to put up a lot of points. The Giants are going to be chasing points all night, but it's not going to be the case because they haven't been putting up a lot of points and they're struggling offensively.
All right, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes is a must start. I am saying, this is ugly. Again, another running backfield that is a nightmare for an owner.
Yes.
And I say you don't know who to start. All right, Pacheco is a must sit. Kareem Hunt doesn't get enough volume. Those two guys are sits.
Well, the Giants do have a good defensive line, but I'll tell you who they have historically never been good against, at least in the last 10 years, and that's tight ends. So you got to start Kelce.
There you go. Kelce, the wide receivers, it's we don't know how is Hollywood Brown going to get featured much. It's a crapshoot with the wide receivers. So if you could stay away from the wide receivers,
targeting Justin Watson last week.
You stay away from the wide receivers, Travis Kelce and Pat Mahomes, and the running backs. You sit down because you don't know who to play, so you don't want.
This might be. Listen, this is going to be a tough game. I don't think Casey's going to go 0-3 because the Giants will somehow find a way to implode. I just
Casey's not going 0-3.
But it might be a low scoring game because the offense. First of all, Spags is great defensively, and he can kind of tamper down New York's offense. Mm-hmm. But KC can't put up points right now.
No, and don't forget, Mr. Rashid Rice is going to come back a couple weeks, so that's
not yet.
Well, he's going to come back, and then that's when the offense is going to skyrocket. All right, last game on the docket. Now
this game, if I would have said to you 2 weeks ago, I don't know about this game, but you know what? After this past week, This might be the marquee game of the
Well, it sure
of
is.
the week.
It sure is. Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. It's at Baltimore, so it's not as loud as Detroit. Detroit was loud. Okay, Baltimore is loud, but it's really outside, so it doesn't sound as loud. However, listen, man. You start Lamar Jackson with confidence. King Henry, you start with confidence. Zay Flowers, you start. Mark Andrews. And I'm going to say this because my godson ripped me for saying to start him. I'm going to tell you, you know who you are. You are sitting Mark Andrews. You are dropping him off your team. If you could pick up somebody else, you pick him up off the waiver wire. I don't think you start Mark Andrews. If you want to keep him on your team, you keep him and you do not play him and you put somebody else in. And he actually had Mr. Pat Freiermuth on the team. If you're going to ask me who to start, him or Pat Freiermuth, you would start Mark Andrews. All right? That's me.
Okay, you.
All right. Go ahead. What are you saying? Go ahead.
I think that Mark Andrews might have a good game this week.
Okay.
All right. If Detroit here's the thing: does Jared Goff revert back to his old self, and who he doesn't really play well outside? Then Mark Andrews might have a better game. But if he can put up points like he does inside the dome there, and Amon-Ra and J-Mo and Jahmyr Gibbs can put up the points, and you find Baltimore having a chase, I think Mark Andrews gets a few short check down types of passes. That's what I think.
Okay.
I am starting Mark Andrews this week.
Oh, all right. Write it down. Write that down.
I will.
All right.
Write it
Good
down
enough.
right here.
Let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Let me tell you, I think Amon-Ra is unguardable. However, he makes a lot of his money over the middle of the field. The linebackers for the Baltimore Ravens, I watched that game they played last week. Let me tell you, every tackle they made, it's like they were looking for, I don't know what it was. It's to dominate. They were crunching people. I believe that Amon-Ra goes over the middle of the field. I said they're going to hit him hard. They're going to attack him real hard. So, the one here, I think that's probably, listen, you're going to start Amon-Ra, but just remember what I feel, because I see what I watch, what I observe. I feel the one they're going to go after here is going to be Jameson Williams. Deep bombs here, because they're going to be so afraid over the middle of the field. They might put a single high, one safety out there, and Jameson Williamson might eat this week, so I think he's a must start. Obviously, the two running backs are starting. Jared Goff, after a 5-touchdown game, it's hard to sit him down. You can't sit him. But, like you said, he doesn't play well outside. He plays well outside.
No, and then to your point, I think that they will be, they're going to be cognizant of the run game, which could leave J-Mo open, for a deep bomb.
That's it. All right. Those are your week 3 startums and situms. How we feel about each game, or what guys gonna do, who to pick up, who not to pick up, and also don't panic if you're 0-2. All right. 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. Then it's start to rebuild for the next year. Maybe start rebuilding, selling off your assets if your league allows picks to be traded. But don't sell on a cheap right now.
It's a little too early to talk about that. Let's
Still
not
too early.
talk about that.
All right. So you guys enjoy your week number 3. All right. We'll be back for week number 4. Good luck on your games, as long as you're not playing the co-commissioner myself. All right, guys. Bye-bye.